Good morning. My name is Betsy Plum. I am Executive Director of Riders Alliance, New York's grassroots organization of subway and bus riders, fighting for the reliable, accessible subway that riders and our city deserve. Amen. I also am a proud representative of the Congestion Pricing Now Coalition alongside many of my colleagues here today, which is fighting for the successful implementation of congestion pricing, which will do so much to deliver that reliable and accessible system. We are standing here in Union Square, where subway and bus riders and an unprecedented coalition of congestion pricing supporters, including labor, environmental justice, immigration, housing, civil rights, and other advocates, launched the Fix the Subway campaign 5 years ago. Look how far we've come. Today, we are again championing congestion pricing once more and the release of the report and recommendations from the Traffic Mobility Review Board, which will go before the MTA board for a vote tomorrow. One of the final steps in what has been a more than 5-decade push to see the smart, pragmatic solution represented with congestion pricing implemented. We support the recommendations, many echoing what our coalition called for, and critically minimizing exemptions for some in favor of a fairer program for all. We have a tremendous lineup of speakers, including a couple special guests, who represent the wide-reaching support and impact of this program. But quickly, before we turn to them, I want to share a note on our location and the promise we see around us. Going back to that day 5 years ago, there was no 14th Street busway over there. The M14A and D buses were the worst routes in the city, winners of the Pokey Award from the Strap Hangers campaign. Today, 14th Street is a shining example of how decongesting streets improves bus service, improves deliveries, improves emergency response times, and improves so much more. Something we can look forward to across the city with congestion pricing. The 14th Street busway grew out of the reconstruction of the L train tunnel, which was filled with salt water during Superstorm Sandy, a powerful reminder of the new challenges facing our public transit network and the necessity of a robust capital program for which congestion pricing is now the largest source of funding. And of course, the L train itself, the first subway line converted to modern signals, is now our most reliable and shows the promise of renewed investment that congestion pricing will deliver all across New York, which is why riders are so proud to have reached this point and so eager and excited to move forward in the coming year. As advertisements across the city say, congestion pricing is our route forward, and we are excited for the future we have as riders, as New Yorkers, and as a region. It is now my distinct privilege to introduce an elected champion who has not backed down from the promise of less traffic, cleaner air, and better transit. The governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. From time to time, leaders are called upon to envision a better future. Be bold in the implementation and execution, and be undaunted by the opposition. That's how you secure progress. That's what today is all about. And I am so proud to be here because everyone here knows that this city is worth fighting for. We can save this city because people love New York City, but it's facing some hard times. And because so many people love New York City, the streets are impassable and the air quality has declined. So I know, because of the courage of people here behind me and elected leaders and people like Jano Lieber, the head of the MTA, let's give him a round of applause. And Carol Weisbrod and the Traffic Mobility Review Board, that's courage. That's courage. I thank them and all of our partners in elected government, state government, city government, borough presidents, city council, and all of our advocates. You made this happen, and Betsy, you are my hero. You have done an amazing job on behalf of the riders, and I thank you. But I have a few questions for you. Anybody sick and tired of gridlock in New York City? Yes! Anybody think we deserve better transit, especially those who live and work here? Yes! Anyone think that people with disabilities deserve to have more accessibility when they travel through this city?
Yes!
Anybody want cleaner air for our kids and for future generations? Yes! Well, then you love congestion pricing, right? Yes! Now, this is a great day, and I know that not only people here, but also our first responders, ambulances, firefighters, emergency personnel, who are often stymied and delayed in getting to where they need to go. My friends, this is going to be transformative. We'll have the resources to invest in our system, a 110-year-old system, so it's positioned for the next 110 years because of the courage here today. That's what we're fighting for. But also, people deserve a quality of life here. It should be walkable. People should be able to take the train and be able to walk to their jobs and never need a vehicle again, because this is New York. And I'm so proud of what we've done here. We'll keep our subway strong for the next generation. Less traffic, cleaner air, faster buses. I love faster buses. I like the buses going faster. And all these disability, mobility. But also, here's what the money can go for. Here's what the money can go for. What about the idea of the Interborough Express being funded with this money to be able to work in Queens and get to your job in Brooklyn or vice versa? We can get that done. What about ending the transit desert in East Harlem and finishing off the 2nd Avenue subway? That's what we can do as well. You know, cities all around the world have tried this, but nobody else in the United States of America. This is when we demonstrate leadership. We show we do it here. We overcome the opposition. We make it be successful. And the rest of America will realize that we are fighting to save our planet. We're fighting to save our kids. We're fighting for our riders. And we are fighting for the greatest city on the planet, the city of New York. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Governor Hochul. I think she said it perfectly. Now we want to hear from the man with the plan himself, the CEO of the nation's largest public transit authority, the MTA, with 70,000 workers and 7 million rides each day, Mr. Janno Lieber.
Wow, Governor, thank you. Thank you for your support of congestion pricing and of the MTA overall. The effort that we've got underway here is about congestion and air quality and pedestrian safety and bicyclist safety and about improving transit. But at bottom, what it's really about is our ability to identify problems, to confront them, and to face up to our challenges to do something. For God's sake, today is a gridlock alert day, and 8 out of the next 10 days are gridlock alert days. Does anybody want to do something finally? Come on. Governor, you have shown that determination. Riders are not going to forget how you stepped up in the budget this year for transit, helped the MTA balance the budget so we didn't have to cut service and do layoffs like the rest of the country is looking at. We've got a secure, financially secure MTA system, and we're increasing ridership, not just on the Long Island Railroad, but on subways, so everyday commuters get more service, more reliable service. Thank you, Governor Kathy Hochul. But on top of strong leadership in Albany, part of what we're celebrating here today is that things like congestion pricing only happen when you have an amazing network of activists, environmental activists, transit advocates. So I just got to say, and I'm going to call you out, and I'm sure I'll miss somebody, PCAC, League of Conservation Voters, Tri-State, Riders Alliance, Transportation Alternative. You made this happen. We are here because of your determination, and we are fortunate in New York that we have powerful voices for transit and for change. Change is hard, but the problem we're facing, congestion, is not only about abstractions. Imagine if your family member was in an ambulance with their life on the line, idling in traffic because of congestion. That happens today. Look at the mayor's management report about what's going on. Imagine if you had a kid riding a bike who gets hit by a car with a risk that increases significantly with congestion. I got 2 college-age kids who are city bike enthusiasts, and let me tell you, it scares the hell out of me. Imagine how I felt when my mother, a couple years before she died, told me she didn't feel like a New Yorker anymore because there wasn't an elevator at her station and she couldn't use the subway anymore. She was right. It's time to make the whole system accessible, and congestion pricing gives us the resources to keep doing it. Our neighbors across the river seem content to let traffic keep choking our streets. They are our streets, in case anybody is confused about that. I'm still waiting for the call where they ask our opinion about tolls on the Jersey Turnpike in the Garden State, but I'm sure it's coming any day now. Now, they don't like it when I say, we have a problem in this country with climate deniers, with election deniers, and now we're dealing with traffic deniers. So I'm just going to say it's a simple problem. It's called inertia addiction. These are self-styled problem solvers who've actually never lifted a finger for mass transit, even when there was a half-finished rail line in their own goddamn district. We in New York deal with our problems. Kathy Hochul has given us the strength to run a great MTA system. New Yorkers are not going to stand for inertia. We want less congestion, safer streets, fewer crashes involving pedestrians, cleaner air. We want to do something about climate change. And as the governor said, we want to do the 2nd Avenue subway and Penn access so people in those historically disadvantaged communities have access to jobs and education and health care. And for the folks who do have to drive, they are not forgotten. They will benefit too. Your time has value. Less congestion means less time spent sitting in traffic, waiting to get where you're going. We actually have a plan for people who have to drive, and it's a smoother travel in the city. New Yorkers are doers. The folks behind me are doers. Kathy Hochul is an authentic problem solver, and we're going to get this done on her watch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jano. And as we talk about a more reliable system, better service, we want to hear from the president of New York City Transit, who is in charge of delivering subway and bus rides to New Yorkers in every single neighborhood. Mr. Rich Davey.
Thanks, Betsy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just a couple things I want to say. First, recognizing that I think I have the best job in New York City. Why? Because I get to work for a governor and a chair who understand that public transit is so important. And this entire group of individuals who delivered for us this year, we are not cutting service. We are adding service. Subway service will expand again this month on the C, N, R, and G because you delivered, the governor delivered, and Jano delivered. Thank you. We're in the business of running public transportation. We want to add more service, and that is what we're doing. Now, I have a message for those congestion deniers that Jano referenced. I live in Hell's Kitchen. Anyone been there? I think I know why it's named Hell's Kitchen for both past reasons and current reasons. So congestion deniers, grab a lawn chair. I'll bring the beer. We'll sit outside my apartment, morning or evening, both if you wish, and we will watch the lack of congestion around Hell's Kitchen. The thousands of cars trying to get in and around the Lincoln Tunnel, the thousands of buses, by the way, that they're trying to come from the Port Authority to bring folks back to New Jersey. There is congestion in this city. There is congestion in my neighborhood. Come, I will show you what it looks like. Because, again, if you're in a leafy suburb, north or west, wherever you're complaining from, it's real. Come to the Central Business District. Come to these neighborhoods that have been choking on congestion for decades. We are going to solve it.
Thank you so much, President Davey. We have had a number of federal transit champions, and it's my pleasure to introduce Congressman Jerry Nadler's team member, Robert Gottheim.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Congressman Nadler, I am very pleased to be here. The Congressman has been a very strong supporter of congestion pricing. And the name of the game is improving our air quality, reducing congestion, and providing the necessary funds for the New York City subway system, the Long Island Railroad, and Metro North. So on behalf of the Congressman, thank you very much. It's very good to be here that the MTA is going to be taking this vote. So we are one step closer to congestion pricing, one step closer for better air quality for his constituents, and we're going to look forward to the day come next year when it's actually going to be implemented, and we're going to see major improvements in New York City. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Next up, we have a longtime transit champion, now representing several Brooklyn neighborhoods in the City Council, Lincoln Ressler.
Congestion pricing is a big, bold, transformative idea whose time has finally come. Multiple mayors and multiple governors have supported congestion pricing, but it's Governor Kathy Hochul and it's MTA Chair Janno Lieber that have finally gotten it done. It would not have happened, though, without this extraordinary coalition of advocates standing behind me, and I would like to give you all a huge round of applause. Just as the governor and Janno said, the revenue that we will generate from congestion pricing can make the Interborough Express a reality, can make the Second Avenue subway a reality, can make an accessible subway system a reality, and it can make the Riders Alliance long-standing goal of 6-minute service a reality for each and every New Yorker who depends on our mass transit system. Congestion is literally strangling the New York City economy. Congestion pricing will undo it. Congestion pricing is killing our planet. It is killing the climate. Congestion pricing will help us achieve our ambitious and bold climate goals. Congestion pricing is finally here. We are going to make this happen. Credit to the Transit Mobility Review Board on thoughtful recommendations, and let's get this vote done at the MTA board. This is a great day for New York City. Thank you.
I'm now excited to turn to a number of the leaders who have helped make this program a reality. First up, the president of the city's leading planning organization, the Regional Plan Association, which builds on more than a century of work to advocate for reliable, accessible, resilient transit infrastructure, Tom Wright.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you, Betsy. It's such a pleasure to be here today with all these public advocates and public officials. Look, ever since we built our metropolitan network of roads, bridges, and tunnels to bring people and goods into Manhattan, New York City has struggled with crushing traffic congestion, which pollutes the air we breathe, clogs our roads, damages our communities, and weakens our economy. This has only gotten worse since COVID, as more commuters switched to cars and e-commerce became part of our daily lives. Congestion pricing will benefit the vast majority of commuters, residents, and businesses in the region who rely on mass transit, and it will benefit those drivers too, who suffer under some of the worst traffic conditions in the city. Congestion pricing has worked in every city that has implemented it, and it will work in New York now. We are just months, not decades, away from getting it done. So we want to thank everybody who helped make this happen. Thank you to Carl Weisbrod and the TMRB board members who came up with terrific recommendations. Thank you to Janno, Rich, the leadership, staff, and board of the MTA. And especially, I think, to Governor Hochul, who has shown such leadership on this. The transit advocates, the reason we have such passion for this is because what Governor Hochul is doing here is legacy building. We had Governor Clinton build the Erie Canal system. Al Smith helped us create and then run the Port Authority. Governor Rockefeller created the MTA. And Governor Hochul is the first governor in the history of this city and state to recognize that our future is not all about cars. It's about rebalancing how we prioritize our streets and our investments and using this forward-thinking policy to start to move us in another direction. That is her legacy. That is why we are so passionate about this issue and so excited about what's happening today and in these coming days and weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next up, I want to introduce Kevin Garcia from the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance, NEJA, a transportation planner working in transit-dependent neighborhoods that have had to fight for better air quality from the Bronx to Brooklyn. Kevin?
Thank you so much, Betsy. And thank you so much to our allies and to our elected leader offices and to the MTA for being here. As Betsy mentioned, my name is Kevin Garcia. I'm the transportation planner for the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance. NEJA, along with a lot of other environmental justice advocates, have long been supportive of congestion pricing. We know it's an approach to reduce traffic congestion, improve local air quality, and improve our public transit system. So we applaud the MTA and other program sponsors and the TMRB for getting to this stage of the implementation of the program. And we can see the finish line, and we're getting closer to improving our public transit network. And on top of that, we're nearing the rollout of the traffic and emissions mitigation plan that we were promised to help improve air quality in the Bronx, that we and many of our allies here have been fighting for, to provide some relief for Bronx residents who experience daily air pollution from transportation sources. So we're confident that the toll structure recommendations from the TMRB will make sure that we meet the goals of the congestion pricing program. So it's important for the MTA board to move quickly so that New Yorkers can finally have less traffic, better air, and better transit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, Pat McClellan from the New York League of Conservation Voters. He is the state policy director and has worked tirelessly across the region to build a broad base of support for congestion pricing.
Thank you, Betsy. Congestion pricing is going to mean fewer cars and trucks on the road, more off-hours deliveries for trucks, faster, more reliable mass transit. And when you look at what we need to do to combat climate change, every one of those is on the list, no matter which plan you're looking at. It could be the state's climate law and the scoping plan that we have to reduce our emissions 85% by 2050. All of the things that congestion pricing is going to accomplish are in that plan. If you look at the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, all of these things are in there as things that we need to do our part to fight climate change. So we are so grateful to Governor Hochul for having the political courage to continue fighting for this. It has been a long fight, and we can't say thank you enough to Jana Lieber and the MTA as well. Again, they have been working tirelessly on this, have produced thousands and thousands of pages rebutting the criticisms of congestion pricing and proving why this is worth doing, and also to all of the advocates who have worked on this. I've been working on this since 2018. A lot of folks here have been working on it for much, much longer than that. And so I'm so grateful to everyone who is bringing this one step closer to reality. This is going to be a huge win for the climate and the environment in New York City, New York State, and the whole region. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I want to introduce the legendary traffic engineer and former commissioner who I think is ready to retire his nickname, Gridlock Sam, once congestion pricing is implemented. Sam Schwartz.
Yeah, thank you, Betsy. It's so wonderful to be here because I can tell you for the past 52 years I've been working on this, it's been kind of lonely. So thank you. I feel much better on this. I began working when John Lindsay was mayor, and I had a red beard and red hair, and I was about 40 pounds lighter. So you've got to stick with it. This is one of the things that it proves. But the other thing, we're celebrating today, but let's not completely celebrate. And I'm not taking out that first bottle of champagne until the first car crosses. Why, in 1977, when we thought we had tolls on the Eastern Harlem River bridges, nothing could stop us. It even went to the Supreme Court. Only an act of Congress could stop us. And guess what happened? An act of Congress stopped us. In 1980, it was lawsuits that stopped us. There are lawsuits now. There are acts of Congress out there now. So to all of you, you've got to keep fighting if you want to see this through. Now, I just want to mention, in 2017, a group of us felt like orphans. We didn't think we were going to cross the finish line. And it was the Riders Alliance. It was the people that were out in the streets that were reporting on transit. This was a grassroots event. It's wonderful that elected officials are here and supporting it. But make no mistake about it, it was a grassroots event, and the Riders Alliance should get a lion's share of the credit for it. So thank you. I'm not going to retire until that first car passes through. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce Sonal Jessel, who is the Director of Policy with We Act, working on a host of environmental justice issues across northern Manhattan. Sonal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sonal Jessel. I'm the Director of Policy at We Act for Environmental Justice. We are a community-based organization in Harlem. We've been organizing against environmental racism since 1988, and we support congestion pricing because it's going to deliver much-needed traffic release in northern Manhattan. And secondly, northern Manhattan, East Harlem, Central Harlem, Washington Heights, these are areas that are saddled with disproportionate pollution burden, and a lot of that is due to heavy-duty trucks, buses that are going down the streets and stuck in gridlock traffic constantly. As the Second Avenue subway is coming to East Harlem, we see this as a really important opportunity to ensure that New York State is putting great mitigation plans to reduce pollution burden and get cars off the street and improve public transit access for the majority of people living uptown that are riding our public transit. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonal. Next up, we have Renee Reynolds, the Executive Director of the Tri-State Transportation Campaign, a transportation leader putting data into action. Renee.
Okay, so I'm going to do what advocates do, and I'm going to start us off with a chant. I will do 4 rounds. We're going to do what do we want it? What do we want? Congestion pricing. When do we want it now? What do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
I think they might have heard us in New Jersey. So thanks, everyone. My name is Renee Reynolds, and I'm the Executive Director of Tri-State Transportation Campaign. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting sustainable and equitable transportation systems. Today, I'm proud to stand here with so many advocates and supporters of congestion pricing. These are the folks that are calling for transformation. They're calling for the reduction of traffic congestion, calling for the reduction of pollution, and calling for needed investment in our mass transit system. So I'd like to thank the leaders at the MTA, Jano, Rich Davey, the Governor, Kathy Hochul, for their continued commitment to bringing this program from a long debated concept into reality. It's long overdue, and New Yorkers deserve less clogged roads and more mobility options. And I'd like to thank the Traffic Mobility Review Board for their thorough examination of the tolling scenarios and for their thoughtful recommendations, because it is clear that they took great measure to propose a fee structure with equity at its core, with protections for low-income New Yorkers and incentives to shift truck deliveries from daytime to nighttime. So I stand here as someone who grew up in Queens, who for the majority of our life took the E train, the J train, and the F train to get into the city, because for anyone who came from Southside Jamaica, Queens, you knew that driving into the city was a recipe for stress, anxiety, and lateness. 2.4 million people ride the subway, and 1.2 million ride the buses in New York City every day. And to those who depend on mass transit, know that congestion pricing will benefit you. The revenue from congestion pricing will help us speed up our buses, which are currently among the slowest in the nation, rarely averaging 9 miles an hour and averaging just 3.4 miles an hour in Manhattan. Now, I know your grandma can walk faster than that. Come on. We can do better than that. We must do better than that, and we will do better than that. I know we have to confront misguided opposition, but we will do that. We will stand steadfast and we will push through. Tomorrow, the MTA will hold a board meeting, and we encourage the board to vote to proceed and put their full support behind the TMRB recommendations and move us to one step closer to the successful implementation of congestion pricing. There is no more time to waste. Let's unclog our roads and get this city moving.
Thank you, Renee. Next up, we have a stalwart environmental leader who champions the essential role of public transit to breathable air, clean water, and environmental justice, Mary Barber of the Environmental Defense Fund.
Thank you. As you know now, we are here to celebrate being one step closer to the implementation of the first in the nation congestion pricing program. And as you've heard, and we can say it in chorus, to reduce traffic, improve transit, and clean our air. Just an aside, I've been working on this since 2007, so this is a really exciting time. We're so grateful for Governor Hochul's leadership and the MTA and the TMRB's work providing tolling recommendations that will be a benefit for New Yorkers and the region. I'm a New Jerseyan, and I fully support congestion pricing. And I fully support New York's commitment to the MTA system and to improving and maintaining the transit system, because I know how important the trains and buses are to me personally, my family, my friends, and the broader New Jersey community. The environmental benefits of this program are clear. Fewer cars and trucks idling in traffic will improve air quality and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The recommendations wisely shift truck traffic into the night, further reducing the amount of time they'll spend idling in peak traffic and improving the health and safety of our communities. The TMRB's report, as you heard from Kevin, includes other recommendations to ensure an equitable program that not only protects but benefits our environmental justice communities, and the MTA has committed to ensuring those outcomes, and we will all stay vigilant to ensure the same. We look forward to the MTA's vote tomorrow, moving us another step closer to this foundational program that will support the health and safety of our communities. Thank you.
Okay, we have a few more speakers. Next up, the keeper of the flame, who's built momentum for congestion pricing at every turn, some unexpected, for more than a decade, Alex Matheson.
Thank you, Betsy. As our esteemed President Joe Biden once said, this is a big fucking deal. And we actually owe a debt of gratitude to Mr. Biden, because he's the one that got congestion pricing started again after a previous president had basically iceboxed it for the last couple of years. So we thank Joe Biden. This is an incredibly important day. We are creating a model, not just for New York City, but for the nation, and that's why it's important that we get it right. On the eve of the implementation, which is only about 4, 5, 6 months away, we invite the naysayers and opponents that are still out there to work with us to focus on the many myriad benefits of this program for everybody across the city, and to monitor it, and to make adjustments as we need to over time, and to ultimately perfect it. We have to do this for the sake of New Yorkers and for the sake of creating a model, a workable model for other U.S. cities to emulate. Yes, we're all going to have to tighten our belts a bit and to adjust, including me. Do you think I want to pay a $15 toll? Hell no, I don't. But, as a citizen of this city, of New York City, and of America, we citizens, especially the more fortunate among us, have to make sacrifices, small sacrifices, in order to benefit everybody, especially those who are less fortunate. The benefits are myriad, and one of the things I liked in the TMRB report was they recognized kind of the obvious, which is New Yorkers have accepted for decades, for generations, that traffic is just a reality. It's inevitable. There's no way to do anything about it. That's a ridiculous notion, especially for America, especially for New York City. Of course we can do something about it, and that's what we're doing today. And it's long overdue. Sorry, Sam, it took you 52 years. And then the benefits have all been outlined here, but cleaner air, safer streets, better transit, more accessible transit, less traffic, more walkable cities. It's fantastic. This is going to be a fantastic thing for the city. Let's embrace it. Let's work together to perfect it, and let's celebrate New York City as a model, modern 21st century city. I want to make my final word about the governor across the river. Governor Murphy claims to be a progressive Democrat. He's somebody that I admired in the early years of his term, and he obviously has national ambitions, but I don't see how you could have national ambitions as a so-claimed progressive Democrat who claims to support climate change and doing something about climate change if you're opposed to congestion pricing. That's just not going to fly. The position on his position on congestion pricing is untenable and frankly fraudulent. It's a cynical ploy to succor to a small majority of wealthy drivers while sacrificing the benefit of the majority of New Jersey drivers and riders. In contrast, and this is my final note, in contrast, Governor Hochul has been a true champion of this from the very beginning, and this is not an easy issue to embrace, as we all know, and she has been there, a stalwart supporter from the very beginning. We're so grateful to her and Jano Lieber and the entire MTA team who did an amazing job to get this almost across the finish line. And I had an idea just now, which is I thought it would be very symbolically important, Jano, to have Governor Hochul be the first one to drive across the first and to receive the first toll. Symbolically, I think it'd be important. Thank you, Jano. Thank you, MTA. Thank you, Governor Hochul. And thanks to all these great advocates.
Thank you, Alex. Let's talk about an accessible subway system and how desperately New York needs that. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to turn to a longtime organizer and leading champion of transit accessibility for New Yorkers, including several hundred thousands of our friends, our neighbors, our family members, ourselves, excluded from the subway system because of stairs. Iman Ramawi Doster.
Love you too. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Iman Ramawi Doster. I'm here from New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. Accessibility for all New Yorkers, including New Yorkers with disabilities, is vitally important to making sure our city runs efficiently and seamlessly. As a disabled New Yorker who uses Accessoride, the paratransit service run by the MTA, I can tell you firsthand how important it is that transit works for all of us. We are pleased that the MTA's plan exempts vehicles carrying people with disabilities. We don't want additional disability taxes added to our already wildly expensive existence. As the program is implemented, we call on the MTA to remain vigilant to ensure that the discounts and mitigation measured are adequately ensure that people with disabilities and environmental justice communities are not disadvantaged by this program. Every issue is a disability justice issue, and we hope that New York City will make sure that all New Yorkers have access to a more equitable, climate-friendly, and accessible transit system. Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. Is Charlie Kamanoff here? The number cruncher extraordinaire whose balanced transportation analyzer might be the most famous Excel spreadsheet in New York, Charlie Kamanoff.
I'm going to, as a far more talented person once said, I'm going to wave my freak flag high. Here it is. And I'm going to be brief because the governor stole my lines. And that is the greatest thing when a governor of the Empire State takes what we have been clamoring for, organizing for, campaigning for, advocating for, number crunching for decades, and internalizes it and expresses it better than any of us possibly could. It is just an amazing thing to watch. Thank you, Governor Hochul. And thank you to all of us who have brought her along, brought the media along, brought a growing number of elected officials along. I don't know if I can say brought Jano along, because Jano, you must have believed in this from the get-go. Yes, you did. So I'll put that aside. But what a great day. We are going to have a more affordable city, a more accessible city, a safer city, a fairer city, a more breathable city, a more bikeable and walkable and skatable and scootable city. And as the governor said, we are going, with congestion pricing, to be leading the city, the country, and the world, because after New York does this, China is going to be close behind. Chicago will be close behind. The rest of Europe will be close behind. New Delhi and Mumbai and Kolkata will be close behind. There is no city in the world that will not benefit from congestion pricing, and we are going to prove that starting just 6 months from now. I can't wait. We can't wait. What a great day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Charlie. Next up, I want to introduce Lisa Daglian from the MTA's Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee, a lifelong transportation expert and advocate. Lisa.
Thank you.
And a Jets fan.
And a Jets fan. I love you too. I'm Lisa Daglian. I'm the Executive Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA. So, congestion pricing, not just a good idea, it's the law. It's not like, oh, let's do this, let's not do this. It's the law. So we fought for it, we got it, it's going to happen. Hopefully sooner than later. But who could be opposed to cleaner air, less traffic, safer streets, and more funding for transit? Oh, well, apparently New Jersey can. I gotta tell you, when I go to Jets games, nobody says, oh, well, we're gonna cut your tolls in half because you're going to New Jersey. No, they don't offer to give me money back. So I'm not quite sure how that plays where it's, they should get money. So anyway, congestion pricing is here. It's finally coming. The MTA board should be voting for this tomorrow. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep it up. We're going to have the best transit system we can possibly have for all of us who rely on it every day across the region. It is not just a good idea, it's the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And to close us out, New York's leading advocate and organizer for safe streets, for whom congestion pricing is about all New Yorkers' freedom to safely access all our city has to offer, Danny Harris from Transportation Alternatives.
Thank you. Let me start by offering an apology. An apology to every New Yorker who is stuck in endless traffic, an apology to every child who can't breathe because of the highways that run through their neighborhood, an apology to every New Yorker who is left behind by a transportation system that prioritizes inanimate objects instead of human life. Let me apologize specifically for the leaders who aren't here, who should be here standing with us to deliver real options to New Yorkers. Governor Hochul, thank you. Chair Lieber, thank you. President David, thank you. Thank you to everybody who's here. Speaking up on behalf of New Yorkers who deserve options. So today and every day we fight so that no matter where you live, you don't have to worry about the rising waters outside of your home. You don't have to worry about all of the ways to get to the office. That one day transportation will just simply work. And not only will it work, you'll have options. And that $10,000 a year that you're spending on car-related payments can go right back into your pocket where it belongs. So that can be put towards your next house or your first house, so that can be put towards your child's education, your health care bills. That's money that you deserve. It's time you deserve. Congestion pricing is delivering options for New Yorkers. Today, we take another step forward. And again, for everybody who's not with us, come join us. We've heard all the reasons why this won't work, but we don't hear any of your options. We have options. 50 years worth of advocacy to get here. New York's best days are ahead of us, and I promise you, they're not on congestion-filled streets. They're on streets where all of us, every single one of us, have options. Real options. Thank you very much. Onwards to congestion pricing. Onwards to options for New York. Thank you.
Okay, I fibbed. We have one more speaker. He's almost here. And so I'm going to just give my closing remarks now, and I'll let our city comptroller close us out. We will take questions separately if folks want to do one-on-ones, but we want to again thank all of the leaders who have brought us to this point, both those standing here today, those who have been at bus stops and subway stations and across the city, and Governor Kathy Hochul, who has stood firm behind congestion pricing's promise. We are so grateful. We call on the MTA board to accept the TMRB's recommendations and to move swiftly tomorrow to begin implementing congestion pricing. Together, we can move New York City to become a leader for sustainable urban planning, serving as an example nationwide and, as Charlie said, globally. We encourage every New Yorker to unite behind this program and to help us build the New York we want and need. A New York built on equity and sustainability, with a reliable and accessible and affordable transit system to get you where you need to go. I'm hopeful that the comptroller is now here. We'll look to our MTA colleagues if he's on the train. How's the 4 running today? Okay, what do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Congestion pricing.
When do we want it?
Now.
Okay. Does anyone have 1 or 2 questions? For Richard Davey, MTA, would you take a question? Yeah.
Would I? Maybe. What's your question?
Hi, Ramsey Khalifa, WNYC. I was just wondering if you're at all disappointed in the mayor for not making a clear support for congestion pricing. He mentioned at a press conference that this was the start of a conversation, but clearly the TMRB is voting tomorrow. Do you have any?
I mean, I haven't followed this politics. All I know is the mayor's been a great supporter of public transit, and we appreciate that, certainly on the public safety side. So I'm not following that. What I'm following is the support for what we're doing at New York City Transit.
And just to restate the thing you already know is the New York City Department of Transportation was a full partner in the development of this plan. We worked hand in glove with them at the MTA every step of the way. We appreciate the commissioner's leadership and all the way up through City Hall as we go forward. Tim, you want to, Betsy, you want to mediate?
Yes. 1 or 2 more questions, yes.
The purpose of this rally, in the sense that it's going to pass the board tomorrow, as someone else said, it's already law. Is this an acknowledgement on your part that in terms of public viewpoint, you haven't done the sales job of convincing people that this is necessary?
I'd love to answer that as a member of the public sitting on the other side of the table, in that I think the job has been done, and we are here today to emphatically endorse that job and to say riders and New Yorkers are ready for this program, and to remind the MTA board tomorrow how important this program is to the future of our city.
For Jan Oliver is, thank you. My question for Jan Oliver is about the criticism that is against this plan, that they are saying that this congestion pricing is turning the city into a luxury city. Instead, the question is, do you consider other plans, like for example in Mexico City, they don't charge cars? They actually make that some cars don't drive some days, according to the last number of the plate. That actually reduce the number of cars, and is not making that if you have money, you can drive. If you don't have money, you cannot drive.
So I think that, listen, there are a lot of different ways to approach congestion pricing. We have our Traffic Mobility Review Board, which is the body that just spent months studying this, has come up with a plan. It's actually the opposite of what you say. Congestion pricing is the way to make the city more equitable, because what overwhelmingly the people who drive to the central business district, which are less than 10% of our commuters, are overwhelmingly better off. They're people who can pay $40 to park. And we're taking the money from congestion pricing to invest in subways and buses and mass transit, which 90% of New Yorkers use, and they're the people at the lower end of the income spectrum. This is the way to make the city fairer and more equitable, as well as cleaner and better for everybody.
Thank you, Jado. And if you want, we'll give a quick response in Spanish, and then we'll turn to Brad Lander, our city comptroller. I want to introduce my colleague, Mayra Aldaz-Deckert.
Sí, bueno, simplemente quería dar la perspectiva de nuestra comunidad.
de nuestra comunidad inmigrante y de bajos recursos económicos, ¿no? Son los que se van a beneficiar mucho de este programa, especialmente porque son los que más utilizan el transporte público. Hay muchas personas de bajos recursos económicos en nuestra comunidad inmigrante que viven en las afueras, en los 5 condados, que toman muchos trenes y toman los buses también. Entonces, este programa se va a beneficiar mucho para aquellas personas que están utilizando el transporte público para llegar a sus trabajos. Gracias.
Thank you. And last but not least, the City Comptroller, Brad Lander.
Okay, you're on my list about a few things. All right. All right. Is it still morning? Just barely. Good morning. Thanks for everyone for sticking around. I was at the rally to save the right to shelter, and that seemed pretty important. But I sure wanted to get up here. And you know what got me up here very quickly? The 5 train. Let's hear it for the 5 train. So a few months ago, I had a pretty bad cold. You might say that I was badly congested. And I couldn't breathe, and I was really deeply unhappy. And I had the good fortune of taking a good decongestant. And I think probably some of you have had that moment when you go from having a bad cold to being able to breathe again. And in that little window of time, you're so grateful for your ability to breathe and thrive in the city that we have. And lo and behold, no, it's good. I'll be brief. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? That's right. Look, really, when we wanted it was 15 years ago in 2007 when we needed investment in our signals and our elevators and expanded subway capacity. And then when we wanted it again was 5 years ago when the state legislature finally authorized congestion pricing. But boy, do we need it now. Our subways are our circulatory system, our respiratory system. They are the system our economy rests on. And when we have the resources to invest in better signals, to invest in elevators and accessibility, to invest in transit capacity, it'll be easier to get in and out of this city for millions of New Yorkers, and that's what we're here today doing. So I want to just say a big thank you to Riders Alliance, to WEAC, to LCV, to Tri-State, to Move New York, and of course to our friends at the MTA who are stepping up to develop a plan to invest those resources that will truly secure the future of our subways and the future of our city. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? 15 years ago, but now we'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Nice to see you.
Speakers?
Hmm?
Can I photograph both the speakers?
Okay.
Yeah. I want to photograph them quickly. Okay.
I can give you a copy too.